Hey, this is Eddie Kaiser Soze from the Cooter Polluter Fantasy Football Official NFL Fantasy Football League. We're going to go over a couple of things week to week. Hopefully, get some guests here and there. Maybe see if we can't get a popular online sensation going on here. I want to firstly go over the week 6 scoring details and how closely some games went. I'm going to start off with perhaps the game of the week here, even though it was really low scoring. We had Yo Namath, man, the myth, the legend, mostly just the myth, and Tyson going against Butkus Dick, Ryan Walsh. Hopefully, either one of these two guys is going to want to come onto the team and go for it. This is a real slugfest here where the top leading scorers from each team, looking at Jeremy Macklin, a big 3.6 there out of Tyson, and Andy Lacey getting a big 4-banger out of Butkus Dick. Not great fantasy results there. 105 is the final score for Yo Namath. That 102.9 for the final score of Butkus Dick. I was looking at a big time win for Butkus Dick going into the final game. I figured that Zach Stacy would get him the needed 15 points, or shoot, he probably could have got it done with 12 points, and got him a win there. But as Walsh knows, he's been snake bitten a little bit this year. Guys like Cordarrelle Patterson and Keenan Allen not really doing a whole lot of work for him. And Yo Namath, of course, getting what he needs out of DeMarco Murray and Antonio Brown to pretty much get him the victory there. CJ Spiller might be worth a drop in this league. I'd almost say the same about Cordarrelle Patterson there on Walsh's side. Defensively, Yo Namath, got away with 14 and a half points. And Walsh getting one of my favorite players, Quell Jackson, to really come in and do some damage. So a close one if it weren't high scoring, or if not high scoring there, at least it was something. But again, thought that Walsh had the win there, but what are you gonna do? Next and most important game of the week. This is an even better game, slightly high scoring, but it almost looks like I'm gonna just go from the top to the bottom here with the with the games, but I'll mix it up a tiny bit. But these were the two closest games: Shitbags versus Team No Touchdowns, where Gear didn't have quite enough Indian magic in him to get one over Heavy Dynamite there. Le'Veon Bell doing work for him. T.Y. Hilton though in the Thursday nighter, going ham, doing his thing, and Mohamed Sanu there also doing his thing. Outside of that, lots of low scorers, lots of guys missing on Heavy's lineup, I'll say that much. Namely, Calvin Johnson was the big one, getting some work out of his defense. Player of the game for Devin there. He usually gets these types of games where everybody has either 10 or between 10 and 20 points kind of a thing. Enough, but nobody typically gets skunked. This one, Frank Gore surprised me, didn't score a whole lot. 3.8 points. And Marshawn Lynch not getting a whole lot of work either. One way or the other, he found a way to get close. Peyton Manning and Mike Wallace did some pretty good work for him. Before this week, I was thinking that Mike Wallace maybe wouldn't have been worth much in this league. He just doesn't seem to get the ball a whole lot. He's sort of a deep threat who doesn't catch a lot of deep balls. Yeah, it's not really a rosy situation there. And somebody named Chandler Catanzaro for Arizona. That's his kicker. Drop that guy. That's no good. That's a name of the year, though, one of them anyway. Yeah, close game. Final score there is 126.6 to 120.4. Yeah, I mean, good job, shitbags, I guess. You beat Devin, which is actually a little harder than you think it is to do. I've known that for the start of my life until the end of my life. My favorite game of the week was the game that I was in, because I was so handily crushed by Team Thomas, who I really regret, and me and Teddy had a chat about this, really regret drafting this team for him. He ends up with so many stars. The tight end from Denver and the receiver from Denver, Thomas brothers, or the Thomas dad and son combination. Get Andrew Luck and get Gio Bernard, and you're laughing. Not to mention J.J. Watt. What a son of a bitch. The guy gets 33.5 points in our league with a fumble recovery for the touchdown. He's all over the ball all the time. He had 193 points to go with Andrew Luck's 30.8, Gio Bernard's 25.7, D. Thomas 28.4, Julius Thomas 21.1. It just never ends. The guy got, I thought he was going to break 200 for sure, which has only happened maybe 2 times in this league. So good for him. I had nice performances from almost all my guys. I still had 146 points, which typically will get you a win. Happy with my week. Cutler with 24. My running backs, I finally got a game out of LaShawn McCoy. I'm feeling good. Darren Sproles is out for the next, what is this now, 2 to 3 weeks as last I saw, with a problem there. So shoot, LaShawn, get him out on punt returns, get him on kicks, get defense. We need that guy washing jocks and doing equipment for the team, like get the scouting done, logistics, if he could call for the airports, like get tickets for this guy, everything. LaShawn needs to do all the things for this Philly team for them to work. Their offensive line is in trouble. They did play a bit better, but they're still bad. Nick Foles is still bad. Their receivers are okay. Jeremy Maclin's all right. And Lamar Miller, who is maybe my favorite player on my team right now. He's my boyfriend. He's the guy I love most. Is Lamar Miller. He's going to be good, and also a good injury for me. Not that injuries are real great, but it looks like Noshawn Marino's toward the ACL. Didn't learn about that until earlier today, and yeah, so he's going to be a legit start for me all the rest of the season. I think those are going to be the 2 guys to watch out for, and lots of 20-point weeks between those 1 and 2 guys. So watch out, guys. My receivers did okay. 16.9, 17.3 from Cobb and Marshall, respectively. Marcus Wheaton, I might just have to drop him. If anybody's looking to trade him, I don't see him doing much for Pittsburgh the rest of this year, with Antonio Brown doing all that work. And, it seems for an offensive team in Pittsburgh, they just don't seem to give the ball up to their guys. I don't understand it. Maybe it's too much Le'Veon Bell. Who knows? And Antonio Gates had a pretty good game for me. Dan Bailey with 15. Not a bad game, but final score 193 to 146. Expect a lot from Team Thomas this year. Devin, gonna need you to Decker this guy for me. Decker. Yes, so do that. The rest of the games where it's super close, you're looking at a 195 to 117 victory by the Bucket Rippers over All Blacks, and Smoking a Jeffrey getting a 40-something whatever point victory over Teddy there. Smoking a Jeffrey hot boxing. We'll go over the Bucket Rippers really quick first against their game in the All Blacks. Aaron Rodgers leading the way with Matt Forte in the Bucket Rippers game. All Blacks having at least got a good game out of Cam Newton. Steve Smith also doing work for him. Reggie Wayne's tough right now. Julio Jones, 11.9 points. If he gets himself a touchdown, it's a big difference. Mind you, quite a few players in All Blacks team could have afforded to get themselves a touchdown. Alfred Morris, he's a sell low right now kind of a guy. If he can get a guy like, Mohamed Sanu for Alfred Morris, you're looking at a wide receiver 2 to trade up for Alfred Morris. He's probably going to call me up and say, hey, how about that Lamar Miller or one of my wide receiver 2s. The list is getting shorter and shorter as this guy gets more and more starts through the year. So Washington, not a fantastic team. And it kind of shows. They're not getting a whole lot of goal line carries, which is where Alfred Morris will hopefully do well. You expect the guy on a good game to get 2 touchdowns on short yardage and maybe total 100 yards all purpose. 80 even would be fantastic for a guy like that. But I hated him at the start of the season. I still kind of do. Chris Ivory, though, I expect to do a bit more. There isn't anybody else really in New York there to do a whole lot of work. At least he's not, throwing Chris Johnson out every day. That guy is worth a drop in all leagues, I would have to say. But Scotty's got a really tough team. He's got a big matchup next week, I believe. Who's he playing? Heavy Dynamite, I believe he plays next week. In a pretty good match there. That's all I got to say for the play-by. Oh, sorry, Teddy and Gabe, I left your game out here. Give me just a moment. I'll bring these guys back up. Yep, Gabe's got a strong team. He's not afraid to play guys that I hate either. So he goes ahead and plays Phillip Rivers, who I did have last year, mind you, and I guess I'm not afraid to play that. I don't like Arian Foster all that much. He gets huge production out of both of those players. Alshon Jeffrey, those 2 receivers in Chicago were fine. I think Brandon Marshall is one of the more fine receivers out there. I think Alshon Jeffrey's just fine as well. Hot boxing had a tough draft. Throws Eli Manning out in a game where I thought he would have done well. I had him in my picks. I thought that the Giants would actually go ahead and crush Philly. They were kind of going in opposite directions there. So that didn't happen. Too bad. Eli looked horrible. You'll do that. It's like I don't understand the Giants. How do you giant? You just take your worst players and play them for so long and lose, and those same really bad players end up being great players somehow. It's baffling. I do not understand it. Nice pickup on Brandon Oliver there. I think that he'll be just fine for the rest of the year. Even when Ryan Matthews comes back, he'll be just fine. Bishop Sankey, if he's not good at this point, I don't know that this is good. He had a really perfect matchup the day to make something happen. I don't know that there's a player on that Tennessee team I would keep. Locker, perhaps, when he gets back. One of their other two of their receivers are okay. Worth starts, but past that, I'm not too sure. Golden Tate, I thought was going to be just fine as well. No Calvin Johnson. I expected a touchdown and 100 yards receiving out of that. Didn't quite work. And Pierre Garçon, one of the guys that I used to have on my team, we traded in sort of a need versus no need kind of a thing. Whatever. He's a guy. Did okay. Dwayne Allen, I think, will be better for the rest of the year here, but if he can't get some production of his quarterback and wide receivers, he'll be in trouble a little bit. Nice game out of Muhammad Wilkerson, though, which I like to see. But Gabe is another team that is very strong. Yeah, Victor Cruz is a big loss for him, though. He's gone. He's gone. So we'll see how that ends up playing out. Emmanuel Sanders, 6.8, not great, but I believe in him. Him and Peyton Manning seem to have a really nice connection going on there. That's it for the player bios. Be back in a moment with more things.